Have you ever felt like letting go of someone you still love is like ripping out a piece of your soul? You're not alone, because, as painful as it is to admit, sometimes holding on to love doesn't just hurt us. It traps us in an emotional prison. Stoic philosophy has something to say about this. Not everything is within our control. And when something is already broken, trying to fix it only wears us down more. So, how do you let go of that person when your heart still screams their name? The key isn't forgetting, but learning to accept what you can't change and making space for what's to come. Let go, breathe, and, though it hurts, take a step toward your own peace. Are you ready to let go? Pay close attention to this video I'm bringing you today. It'll save you a lot of headaches. Don't miss the final lesson. It'll leave you speechless. But before we dive in, pause for a second. I want you to do something simple, yet deeply transformative. Go to the comments and write this phrase. Asterisk, nobody dies from love. Asterisk, yes, just like that. Write it now, without overthinking, because when you write with intention, you're not just using words, you're planting a powerful truth in your mind. And what you plant there begins to bloom in your life. This is your first act of change, your first step toward a stronger, more aware, more determined version of yourself. Make it real, write it, reaffirm it, do it now. And when you're done, open your eyes and heart wide, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story. It's a lesson that can spark your transformation from within. Now, sharpen your senses, because the story you're about to hear could change you completely. Once upon a time, there was a hummingbird that flew to the same tree every morning. That tall, majestic tree offered shade, sweet flowers, and a safe place to rest. For a long time, the hummingbird believed that tree was its home, that it would always be there. But over time, the tree stopped blooming. Its branches grew cold, its flowers wilted, yet the hummingbird kept returning, finding no food or shelter. Asterisk, why don't you leave? Asterisk, other birds asked. Asterisk, there are plenty of trees in the forest. Asterisk, asterisk, because I love it. Asterisk, the hummingbird replied. Asterisk, and I don't know how to fly. Asterisk, without looking back. Asterisk, one day, exhausted and hungry, the hummingbird realized that loving doesn't always mean staying, that clinging to what was can be more painful than accepting what is. So, with a heart in pieces, it spread its wings and flew into the unknown. On the horizon, it found a new tree, different, yes, but full of life. The moral of this story is, sometimes letting go of someone you love isn't giving up on love. It's choosing to love yourself enough to keep flying. Before we begin, if you find these videos helpful, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on the latest content. Let's get started. Asterisk, asterisk, 1. Be realistic. I'm not going to lie. Letting go of someone you still love is like peeling a bandage off an open wound. It stings, but you know what? Sometimes there's no other choice. In this process, one of the biggest enemies to overcome is our inability to be realistic. We cling to what was, to what we imagine could have been, but love, as painful as it is, isn't always enough. Stoic philosophy says something about control. There are things we can manage and things we can't. And when it comes to relationships, holding on to something that's already broken is like trying to fix a shattered vase. With duct tape, it doesn't do much good. It's natural during grief to want to dodge reality. We dive into fantasy, that cozy space where everything's fine, where the reasons for the breakup get blurry and everything seems possible again. But come on, reality is a dish you can't avoid. The breakup happened for a reason, even if we don't always like admitting it. Maybe your paths diverged. The feelings aren't the same anymore, or the mistakes you both made left the relationship in ruins. The point is, clinging to what's gone only wears you out more. And no, I'm not saying you should forget everything and move on like nothing happened. The key is being realistic, facing the truth of the situation, and accepting that love, as beautiful as it is, isn't always enough to keep a relationship afloat. Just like a tree can't grow in barren soil, sometimes love doesn't have the right ground to thrive. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a failure. It's just the nature of things. The solution is to accept that there are things you can't control. You can try to manipulate the situation all you want, but if it's not working, holding on only drains your energy. The most important step is recognizing the reality of the breakup and, in doing so, starting to free yourself. How? First, give yourself permission to feel. Not everything is as rational and structured as philosophy books make it sound, though the Stoics have an interesting take. They taught that we shouldn't be swept away by desires or overwhelming emotions. So, if you feel sadness, fear, or anger, that's normal. The key is not letting those feelings consume you. Second, make a conscious effort to let go of expectations. Drop the asterisk, what ifs asterisk, and asterisk, maybe some days, asterisk. Stop wasting time searching for reasons why it could have worked if things were different. The truth is, the circumstances are what they are, and as painful as it is to accept, what was, was. Now, your job is to focus on what you can do for yourself, for your well-being. Letting go of someone when you still love them is, in essence, a process of personal growth. Though it hurts, it's also a chance to rebuild yourself, to realize that life goes on, with or without that person. Don't fool yourself into thinking that if you keep fighting, you can change the situation. Control lies in letting go, not forcing things. And though it may be the biggest challenge, it's also the doorway to inner peace. Life is as fleeting as the seasons, and sometimes letting go is the only way to make room for what's coming. Love isn't always enough to keep two people together. Sometimes letting go is the bravest act. Don't live off memories. You know what happens when you don't let go of something that no longer belongs to you. It's like clutching a wilted flower too tightly in your hands, hoping it'll bloom again. It won't. Why? Because time keeps moving forward, while you stay stuck in a loop of memories, fighting against the inevitable. Yes, holding on to what was can be tempting. We've all done it. But if you really think about it, you'll see that clinging to the past isn't just pointless, it's harmful. Stoic philosophy, those ancient wise folks who seemed to have a magic recipe for life, spoke of the importance of accepting change as part of our existence. And I'm not just talking about changes in seasons or weather. I mean emotional changes, the ones that hit without warning, like a flood that sweeps everything away. If you insist on staying glued to the past, you're rejecting the only thing you really have, the present. Life doesn't pause for you or anyone else. Often, when we try to hold on to a relationship that's already gone, what we're really doing is living off memories. And living off memories is like trying to drive a car. While only looking in the rearview mirror, you're going to crash, no matter how good it feels to stare at that mirror. The key is realizing that what was is no longer, and dwelling on it robs you of living what matters, the now. So, how do you let go of someone when you still love them? First, understand that letting go doesn't mean forgetting or stopping loving. It means accepting that person is no longer an active part of your life. As hard as it is, love doesn't switch off instantly. It takes time, But what you can do is start letting go of the memories that chain you. And it's not as hard as it seems. Do it in small steps. Change your environment. Try new activities. Nurture other relationships. Rediscover what makes you happy. It's like getting rid of an old t-shirt that no longer fits, even if you still like it. You know keeping it is just out of habit, but deep down, you know it's time to let it go. It's curious how our minds sometimes insist on keeping us teed to what no longer serves us. The good news is, we're capable of learning to let go. If we give ourselves permission, there'll be moments when you're tempted to cling to the idea of what was, to that love that feels just out of reach. But remember, love isn't about holding on. It's about letting it flow, grow, transform. And that, my friend, is what will set you free. So, instead of gripping those invisible ropes, tying you to the past, let them go. The future, though uncertain, holds something far more valuable: new possibilities. Don't stay stuck like a rock in a river, waiting for the water to pass around you. Let the current carry you, because letting go, in the end, is the first step toward true freedom. What was is gone, and what will be hasn't arrived. Live now, because that's all you truly have. **3. Don't suppress your emotions. Eva felt trapped between what you feel and what you should do, like your heart's pulling you one way while your head screams to go the other. That feeling, that inner struggle, is exactly what you experience. When you try to let go of someone you still love, it's like trying to step out of a scalding hot tub. The water burns, but you keep dipping back in, thinking it'll get better. Spoiler, it doesn't. The reality is, when you're in an emotionally intense situation, like a breakup or a deep conflict, the first thing you need to do is feel. Yes, that includes crying if you feel like it, or getting mad if your body demands it. It's not about being the perfect Stoic who locks all emotions in a box and seals it shut, because, spoiler alert, that won't work. Emotions aren't an annoying guest. You can kick out of the party. They're part of you, and when you dare to feel them, you give them space to leave. The problem comes when you try to block them, like dismissing a spam notification. The first step: acknowledge that emotions are part of the process. The most basic thing is to validate what you feel. If you've just gone through a breakup, you're not weaker or less capable for feeling sad. You're not a mess if you feel anger or despair. These are human emotions, the same ones everyone who's ever loved deeply feels. There's no skipping this step. If you try to bypass it, all you do is stuff those emotions into a drawer that'll explode. Sooner or later, probably at the worst possible time. Talk to friends, family, or someone you trust enough to express how you feel. The simple act of putting your feelings into words will help you feel supported and understood. Don't underestimate the power of a good conversation. If your emotions become overwhelming, or you notice they're piling up and affecting your daily life, it might be time to seek professional help. Therapists are there precisely so you don't drown in a sea of emotions you can't manage. Sometimes, a session with an expert can give you the clarity to see things from a new angle. The second step: practice detachment without turning into a robot. Did you know the Stoics talked about detachment? It's not the same as becoming cold or distant. Detachment is accepting that what happens isn't always in your control. You can love someone deeply, but you won't always be able to keep that relationship, especially when the love isn't reciprocated or the connection is gone. Here's the tough part: letting go of someone you still love is one of life's hardest tests. But accepting that love isn't enough. To keep someone in your life is an act of emotional maturity. You don't have to do it all at once. Start with small steps, set clear boundaries, and give yourself time. Letting go is a process, not a decision you make overnight. And yes, there'll be days when you feel weaker and want to reach out to that person. That's normal. The key is recognizing that every day without them is a step toward your own well-being. Letting go of someone you love is hard, but it's necessary to heal. It's a painful process, like pulling a thorn from your finger. It hurts at first, but then you feel relief. Acknowledging your emotions, talking about them, seeking help when needed, and practicing detachment are steps toward an emotionally balanced life. Remember, you don't have to be an emotional superhero who solves everything alone. True courage lies in allowing yourself to feel and then taking a step toward freedom. Emotions aren't enemies. They're signals that you need healing. Ride them without letting them control you. ****. 4. Rediscover your passions. Letting go of someone isn't easy. I won't lie, especially when you still love them. It's like trying to release a balloon you've been holding on to for years, but instead of floating into the sky, the balloon hovers just out of reach, always reminding you of what was and what isn't anymore. But I've got to tell you, there's life beyond that balloon. It sounds cliché, I know, but you have to live it to get it. What you want most in those moments is, ironically, what hurts you most. Staying submerged in your thoughts, replaying every conversation, every gesture, every word you never got to say. It's like having a movie on loop in your head. So, why not hit pause on that reel? Any activity that pulls you out of that spiral of memories can work. I'm not saying you should start juggling, unless that's your thing, but try something that genuinely excites and engages you. Stoic philosophy talks about the importance of focusing on what you can control. You can't control what that person did or how you feel, but you can control what you do with your time and energy. So, why not focus on that? Stop thinking about that person and zero in on yourself. Do something you're passionate about. Learn an instrument, hit the gym, read, or even take cooking classes. Who knows? You might surprise yourself as the next big chef. The point is, don't stay frozen, staring at old photos, waiting for a text you know won't come. The more you keep yourself busy, the more room you give your mind to think about new possibilities, new ways to feel good about yourself, without depending on someone else to be happy. The biggest mistake you can make is sitting around, waiting for things to change on their own, believing the universe will somehow hand you the answer, and you'll wake up one day with the sadness gone. It doesn't work like that. Letting go isn't a passive process. It's something you work at every day. How? I'm not just suggesting you do things. You also need to let yourself feel what you feel. It's not about ignoring emotions, but learning to manage them. When your thoughts drift to that person, take a deep breath and remind yourself you're doing this for you. It's not easy, of course, but Stoic philosophy also teaches that we can't control the emotions that come, but can control how we react to them. Face those feelings, acknowledge their presence, and without letting them take over, keep moving through your day. Acceptance is a crucial step in this process. So, how do you let go of someone when you still love them? With action, with engagement, with self-love. It might not be simple, but with every small step you take toward your own well-being, the weight of their absence will get lighter. Remember, it's not about forgetting. It's about moving forward. Sometimes, the first step is the hardest, but once you start, things flow. Letting go doesn't mean erasing. It means learning to live with the void it leaves. ***5. Meet new people. Sometimes, after a long process of introspection, you find you've become stronger, even more resilient. Did you know there are moments in life when, no matter how hard you try, you just can't let go of someone? Your mind plays tricks, replaying every moment together, thinking about what could have been, even searching for a reason to hold on. But here's the key. You're clinging to something that's no longer good for you. And yes, you know it. The solution isn't looking back, but learning to look forward. Now, it's easy to say asterisk, let go asterisk, when you don't have a swarm of thoughts buzzing in your head like bees around a flower, right? But if you don't, you stay trapped by something holding you back. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, weren't fans of staying stuck in what's gone. For them, true strength lies in letting go of what we can't control, like relationships that no longer work, no matter how much it hurts. So, what can you do to start letting go of someone, even if you still love them? Here's a tip. Consider meeting new people. It's not about replacing that person or finding a cheap consolation for your pain, but if you open yourself to new connections, you'll realize there's life beyond the person you're struggling to release. It's not like you'll forget them in a heartbeat, but it'll help you see that the world keeps spinning and you're still you, with or without them. Meeting new people doesn't have to be a grand adventure or a fanfare-filled event. It can be as simple as striking up a conversation with someone who makes you smile. Sometimes, new people don't need to be your next great love story. They can just be parts of your life. That brings something different. A chat here, a fresh perspective there, and suddenly you realize you're not as stuck in what was. Why not take a more philosophical approach? The Stoics talked about the importance of accepting what we can't change. You can't make that person come back or make things like they were before, but you can control what you do now. So, why not pause and open yourself to new people? Let the wind push you toward new directions. It might not be an epic movie romance, but it'll definitely be a step toward your own evolution. Letting go of someone doesn't mean erasing memories or denying what you felt. It's an act of self-care. You recognize that, though you love them, they're no longer part of the journey you're about to take. In this process, connecting with new people is your travel buddy, a friend, a conversation, a different perspective. They're ways to heal and grow. Remember, the path to freedom begins when you stop carrying what you can no longer hold. Take it from the Stoics. What I can't control, I let go. And in my freedom, I find peace. Say, avoid falling into anxiety. We all know that overwhelming feeling of trying to let go of someone and failing, whether it's a past relationship, unrequited love, or a faded friendship. The truth is, clinging to something or someone can create more anxiety than anything else. Here's a little secret. Your mind is perfectly capable of torturing you if you let it. The question is, how do you keep that anxiety from consuming you without falling into the trap of repetitive, destructive routines? You might have noticed that when you're stuck in a loop, your mind starts seeking distractions. Smoking, drinking, or dodging responsibilities seem like magic short-term fixes. You trick yourself into thinking that numbing the pain by avoiding what really matters will solve everything. But what actually happens is you're just feeding the anxiety and rekindling those distressing memories you thought you'd buried. It's like trying to unplug an appliance, but plugging in other cords instead, not realizing the only way to shut it off is to pull the plug completely. In this case, that plug is you, taking control over what you do, what you think, and, most importantly, what you let into your mind. The Stoics, with their radically logical philosophy, teach us that suffering, though inevitable, is something we can manage if we control our reactions. According to them, it's not what happens to you that causes distress, but how you choose to face it. This is a key lesson when it comes to letting go of someone you still love. Love isn't something you can force to stay. And attachment to that love, especially when it's no longer reciprocated or present, only worsens your anxiety. It's time to start doing activities that pull you out of that comfort zone where past anxieties seem to trap you. Time is your ally. If you use it wisely by trying new things, facing new challenges, and breaking free from the routine that cages you, you're telling your mind that the world moves on, that life doesn't stop for a loss. But shifting your focus isn't something that happens overnight. So, what can you do to let go without losing your mind? First, become aware of what's really holding you back. That tendency to stay stuck in memories, to relive what's gone. Stop thinking your life is incomplete without that person. Instead, start exploring new passions, surrounding yourself with people who add to your life, and thinking about what you can learn from this experience. In the end, it's not about forgetting that person, but reminding yourself that you are enough, that your life has value, no matter what happens or happened. The key is not falling into the trap of repetition. Don't give in to anxiety by clinging to what you can't control. Let yourself feel, but also let time and new experiences teach you that you can let go of what weighs you down to embrace what's coming. It's natural to fear letting go, to fear releasing someone you love, but true courage lies in how you choose to handle that fear. Avoiding anxiety means stepping into the unknown, trying something new, and trusting that time can heal. If you're willing to live in the present, not a past that only hurts you, those who learn to let go of what no longer serves them find space for what they truly need. Asterisk 7. Go no contact. Letting go of someone, that monumental task, that feels harder than dropping an anchor in a storm. But here we are, talking about it like it's something you can solve as easily as blowing out a candle. The truth is, it's complicated. How do you tell your heart to stop clinging to someone when every part of you still wants them close? Let's try to untangle this with some pragmatism. No sugar-coated magic fixes. Imagine you're stuck in an endless conversation with your own brain, replaying moments, promises, gestures, over and over. Like a scratched CD stuck on the same song. You know the best way to break that cycle? Go no contact. Yes, it sounds a bit cold, but think about it. It's the only way to unplug those emotional wires still tied to that person. We're not suggesting you vanish from their life in a dramatic huff, but why are you still waiting for their 3 a.m. text? Why check their social media to see what they're up to? You know what you're doing. You're torturing yourself. Every glance is a reminder of what's gone. No contact isn't just a technique. It's an escape hatch for your brain. Deleting them from your social media, blocking their number, or avoiding running into them at every corner of your city sounds drastic, right? But it's necessary. Your brain is a lazy organ that latches onto what feels safe. Even if it's harmful, avoiding those interactions will make it easier to move past their memory. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Asterisk, but I still love them. Asterisk, that doesn't change with a snap of your fingers. But the time you give your thoughts can. This is where Stoic philosophy swoops in to save us from ourselves. The Stoics remind us that control lies in our hands, but not over others' feelings or the fate of relationships. You can choose to cut off the source of pain, but you can't stop the pain from coming. You can't control everything. Why keep feeding something that's eating you up inside? Detachment is an act of wisdom. It feels like a void, but it's an invitation to personal growth. This doesn't mean you stop loving that person. It means you stop subjecting yourself to the constant need to have them near. In the end, letting go is an act of self-love, not indifference. And if you still think cutting that connection will be the end of the world, remember, the world and you will keep spinning. Letting go when you still love someone isn't easy. It's a painful process. And sometimes it feels like there won't be a tomorrow without them. But with every step you take toward disconnection, you get closer to a place where, though you haven't forgotten, you've learned to live without that constant need. It's neither quick nor simple, but in the end, you realize that letting go lets you fill those empty spaces with something far more important, yourself. Detachment isn't giving up on what you want. It's allowing yourself to live without depending on it to be okay. Asterisk, asterisk 8. Avoid intimacy with that person. Letting go of someone when you still love them isn't just hard. It's like trying to pull a nail out of your heart with a spoon. Painful, right? But it's possible. Here's where it gets tricky. To do it, you'll need to learn to set boundaries, especially with that person who still occupies your mind 24/7. The one you secretly hope will send a text that changes everything. First, the most important thing to understand is that intimacy, whether emotional or physical, is like superglue. It's not that you become dependent, but pretty close. If you keep sharing personal moments, seeking that comforting hug, or getting tangled in deep talks about your dreams, fears, and hopes, all you'll do is stay hooked, and that won't help you heal. At best, you'll pile up more emotions and less clarity. The trick is to avoid those interactions. Dodging them can be the key to cutting the tie that still binds you. Now, this doesn't mean you turn into an emotionless robot. I'm not asking you to act like you don't care. What you need is to recognize that as long as you keep feeding that connection, all you're doing is dragging out the agony. It's like adding a pinch of salt to a wound, hoping it'll heal by magic. It won't. Time and space are your best allies here. So, what can you do? First, set clear boundaries. If you decide to avoid physical contact, it's because you know that closeness will only reopen the door to old feelings. If you steer clear of deep conversations, it's because you know diving in will only strengthen the emotional bond you're trying to break. The Stoics used to say that what you can control is what you do, not what you feel. So, even if your emotions pull you, you can choose how to react to them. Think of it like training. Picture your heart as a battlefield. And in this war, it's not about how you feel, but how strong you are to resist the temptation to keep playing the same game. Every time you avoid an intimate talk or a moment of closeness, it's like a small victory. You might not see it now, but when you look back, you'll realize how far you've come. It's normal to fear letting go, especially when there's so much love involved. But sometimes, love isn't enough. To sustain a relationship that no longer works, you need to free up the space that person occupies in your mind and heart to move forward. And remember, you don't need to convince anyone, not even yourself, that what you're doing is right. The fact that it's hard doesn't mean it's not necessary. Letting go when you still love someone isn't about erasing your feelings overnight. It's about knowing how to set barriers to what keeps you tethered. Avoid physical and emotional intimacy. Set boundaries. And above all, constantly remind yourself that this pain has a purpose, your own growth. Deep connection can wait. What matters now is that you can heal. Love isn't always about being together. It's about knowing when to let go of what no longer serves you. Asterisk, asterisk 9. Remove any reminders. Ever felt like you're dragging a sack of stones through life? Those stones are actually memories, and sometimes they seem heavier than anything else we carry. One of the weightiest memories you can bear is from a relationship that's no longer there. And I'm not just talking about photos and saved texts, but also gifts, objects that person gave you, meant to be keepsakes of eternal affection. What if I told you those objects might be why you can't let go? Love is strange. We know sometimes what we feel for someone doesn't vanish overnight. But did you know that holding on to things that remind you of that person can be like swimming with anchors tied to your feet? No matter how hard you try, you won't move forward. This isn't about being cruel or erasing everything you lived through. It's about stopping the burden of things that keep you from moving on. The first step is simple but effective. Remove any reminders. If you have letters, gifts, photos, or anything tying you to that person, ask yourself, asterisk, do I really need this to remember what was? Asterisk, just seeing a mug with their name, a bracelet they gave you, or a letter they wrote can feel like a little kick in the gut. Those things rekindle emotions that aren't exactly pleasant. It's like letting the past grab your hand and drag you back while you just want to walk another way. You don't need to turn your home into a museum of forgotten memories, but it'd be wise to store those items somewhere you don't see them daily, maybe in a box under the bed or a closet you only open if you really need to. Because, let's be real, if you keep all that in sight, all you'll do is torment yourself. Stoic philosophy talks a lot about how the mind is influenced by its surroundings. If your environment constantly reminds you of what you no longer have, how can you move forward? It's like trying to read a book with the lights off. How can you see anything if you don't let yourself stop looking at what's gone? I'm not saying you should forget that person overnight. Far from it. It's about taking a step back and recognizing that, while love doesn't erase itself in a day, attachment can be released. As an old saying goes, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself. Those memories, as painful as they are, shouldn't define your present. In the end, only you can let go. So, if you're ready to shed the weight of those memories, start with the simplest thing. Clear the stones from your path. I promise you'll feel lighter. What you can't change, let go. What you can change, change. Asterisk, asterisk, 10. Everything is temporary. You know, there's something strangely powerful about love. When it comes to letting go of someone you still love, everything feels like a cruel process, like life is demanding a goodbye. You're not ready to give, and though you might feel like your world is crumbling, there's something you need to remember. Everything is temporary. Yes, you read that right. Everything passes. The good, the bad, even that love that now feels like the only reason you're still breathing. Have you ever stopped to think about how everything we know is constantly changing? The seasons don't stay in spring forever. Leaves fall, flowers wilt, and with them, people come and go. Sometimes we feel like love should be eternal, but if you really think about it, it is, in its own way. Your heart might be screaming, asterisk, no asterisk right now. But don't forget that, as the Stoics wisely knew, the only constant in life is change. Nothing is permanent. Not people, not emotions. When you decide to let go of someone, you're not doing it out of disdain or because you've stopped loving them. You're doing it because you understand that clinging to something that no longer works will only sink you. In life, like in a chess game, sometimes you have to sacrifice a piece to win the match. And that piece, in this case, is the person who's no longer part of your path, even if their absence hurts, like a punch to the soul. Here's the interesting part. The process of letting go will be as unique as you are. There's no manual telling you how long it'll take, or a magic recipe to make everything normal again in a snap. If someone tells you otherwise, they're lying. Everyone has their own pace. Some need time, others need distraction, and a few just need to accept that goodbye, though sad, is best for both. The key here is not to rush. Let yourself feel. Let your emotions flow. like a river that never hurries. Why? Because, in the end, the waters always find their way. At first, it'll hurt, of course, but that feeling is just a reminder that you're alive, that you're still capable of feeling, and that, deep down, is a gift. To let go, you need to do yourself a favor. Remind yourself every day that life goes on, with or without that person. And in that continuation, there are countless chances to grow, learn, and surround yourself with new experiences that'll let you move forward. Don't obsess over what could have been. That only keeps you trapped in the past. Life is here and now, waiting with open arms. What's left is to keep living, enjoying what you have now. Your friends, family, hobbies, personal growth, all those things we sometimes neglect. While focusing too much on what's gone, there's a world to discover. And though it might feel like something's missing now, I assure you, life has strange ways of surprising you. Letting go doesn't mean stopping loving. It means releasing, to make room for something better. Understand that everything in life is temporary, and all you have is to live this process fully. It's yours, it's unique, and the best thing you can do is not rush it. The pain will fade, and you'll be stronger for facing this change. Love isn't always eternal, but our ability to heal is. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, nobody dies from love. I invite you to subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment so YouTube knows. These videos are helpful for people like you. This motivates us to keep creating similar content. I suggest checking out the 2 latest videos we recommend. Thanks for your time and support. See you in our next adventure.